do this. Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and today I'm going to pull this out a little further. We're going to talk about a couple of things around the campfire today, so to speak. So with that, let's get right into it. Let's see. I've got my chat window here. Let me open it up some so that I can see who's in the chat. There we go. Good. I'll just put that in there right quick. But yeah, good evening, chat. Good evening, y'all. One figures. But today I got a couple of subjects, and those subjects mainly have to do with Ron Durant's first. How you doing, Ron? I was hoping for a campfire. Yeah, it's a little cold and wet. I'm not going to do that. I said virtual. But I got two subjects to bring up today, and I figure I've got time, two. I got, what do we do with all that information we store on our memory cards? I wrote a blog post about it, but I figured it's worth discussing a little bit too. And then also, I packed this today to go on a little trip in the not too distant future, and I was thinking, I wonder what everybody packs on their weekend getaway trips. Not like a legit trip where you want a backpack and you pack it with all of these different little things and you carry extra this and that for in contingencies. But what do you take on just a little quickie weekend getaway that you really don't know what you're going to be actually photographing? Is that even a word? Photographing. And you just want to like have a general kit that you can take and get some decent photos with. That's the idea, and I thought, man, I've put this in together, and I would like to share this with y'all and get your input on what you would take, because not everybody loads out their gear the same way. So it just makes sense for, different people to have different systems. So we'll just jump right into this. Today, or in the past, a few months, I've drug back out the Everyday Messenger, and I'll probably get me a new one in the not too distant future, because I'm actually wearing this one out. The shoulder straps are starting to wear through the protective coating, and I'm starting to fuzz the ends of it. I mean, look at that strap. It's chewed up pretty good. I have used this bag for years, and it's worked really well. I mean, the bottom of it's still in great shape. It ain't wore through yet, but I'll probably get a new messenger bag of some kind, whether it be, what they call them, the Billingsley or Billings or whatever, the really nice leather ones. I'm thinking about getting something like that on my next one. This one works really well, though. This is a great messenger bag. It's really well made. It's held up extremely well considering how long I've had it and how much I've used it. And like right now, it's got I think it still has a book in the back. Yeah, I got my power pack. I always carry a way to charge my phone. Come on, turn that back off. And then I always carry a notebook. I like to write things down. Then I don't want to have to hunt my phone to try and type it and then remember where I put the file and all that. So I have a journal I write on. Memory cards, spare memory cards. Because memory cards fail. They just go bad. That's in this back pocket. That's technically it's supposed to be for a laptop computer, but you do what you can with what you got. So here, Hassan jumped in. How you doing? Good evening. Bass Angler's here. Nice to see you, Bass Angler. Thank you for stepping in. I'd bring the same thing I would bring to basketball. Now, this is Ray Soldano. He would bring a Z9, a Z6 II, a 28-75, a 70-200, and an 85 1.8 with the addition of a laptop computer and a tripod. That's a pretty tall order. Now, I got to admit, it covers literally every potential scenario. You could literally step out of the car and shoot a wedding with what he's bringing. You might want to bring a speed light for the reception. But seriously, that's a serious heavy hitter kit. What I'm carrying is significantly less than that. Let's see. Ray says, I'm not big on messenger bags. Sling bags might be an option for me. Yeah, I got a sling bag too. And it's a little one though. It's not a big one at all. It's about half the volume of this guy. And currently it has my CL and an extra lens and the batteries and a charger for it in it. And that's about the right kit. It's not a nice little street photography sort of bag to where you can carry some extra widgets with your street camera. You might want to throw a spare camera. I don't know if you break your camera or whatever, but you know, it's a cool little bag for that. But yeah, I like the messenger bag. I wear it crossbody a lot. You know, it works out really well. I got the sling run all the way out, so it, you know, and I just ride it like that and then throw it around behind me. But I like the convenience of it really well. Now it's got crap in these little pockets that I hardly ever use. There's some ink pens in here. Like, for some reason, I have 3 of them. I don't know why. There's some pennies, because everybody needs some pennies. A box of matches. I don't know. And there's a toothbrush in here. The toothbrush is literally for if I'm bored and sitting in like an airport or something, I can get this out and clean my camera up with it. That's the reason it's here, to get the dust out of the little nooks and crannies, because I'm bored. Or if I get dirt on it and I want to clean the camera out. Now, of course, I've got a couple of USB-C cables, and that'll come into play later. I always carry my Rocket Air, and this is a Giottos. It's the actual legit Rocket Air. I've got some cheaper ones, and they work fine, but this one seems to just work really, really well. I don't know if there's something to the whole name brand thing, but this one does. It works really well. I really like the actual Rocket Air. And here I have 3 lenses and 1 camera body. Let's see what Ron said. Ron says, my Z6 II and the 24-70 f4 with a sling bag, maybe a tripod, but lightweight. That's a good kit. Now, there's no redundancy, which you'll see here. I don't have any either. But with what Ray's brought, even if he drops his main camera, he still has a camera in the game. And I used to think like that a lot. I used to bring like doubles of everything. And I am technically traveling that way on this upcoming trip because the sling bag has the CL and a 35mm lens and the batteries. So if I drop and break this one, I can default to the CL and still shoot. But if I'm grabbing one and going out to do something, I'm just taking 1 camera. And, yeah, those are the best. Nice. You're talking about the Rocket Air, I think. This lens is a vintage lens. It's a Leica lens, but it's an R-mount lens that is from, this one I think is a 1972 model. It's fairly old. It's manual. It's full manual. I've got it adapted to the L mount. It's a 135 f2.8. What this does is this gives me telephoto. And with the fact that I'm bringing the CL and the SL2, this lens does 135 and about 200 millimeters. So it gives me, every one of these kind of gives me double duty, if that makes sense. Okay, I got a 135, so I got telephoto. The 50mm f2 Summicron L, so I've got the 50mm. That's a 75mm on the CL field of view, so you wind up stepping back, and that creates the same kind of effect as a 75mm. Probably f4. I think you lose a stop on it too as far as depth of field blur because you stepped back to fill the frame, but you get the point. It'll let you shoot portraiture. The portraits look good with it, and it has image stabilization in it, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure it does. And then I have the SL2, of course, but on the SL2 I just touched my viewfinder with my thumb. Some days. 1972 can't be old because I'm young and I was born in 73. Ron says, what kind of trip we doing? Okay, I'll get to that in just a minute. this is, as you can see, there, as I have an amalgamation. I have the Leica body with a Nikkor lens. This is my 20mm f2.8 AFD. And basically, I've just got it set into manual mode, and I manual focus it and manual aperture it, of course. And then it's got on it, it has a variable ND filter. I think this is a 2 to 8 stop. I'm pretty sure. You know, you got the variable ND. And then it also has a circular polarizer built into it. So what I've got is, this is my landscape lens. And with 8 stops maxed out, that's pretty much everything I need for 99% of the landscape photography I'm going to be doing. If I'm going to be shooting something that's going to need minutes of exposure, then I'm going to get different filters and probably a different lens. But, you know, if you're going to set up and get water blur, waterfalls, motion blur photos, things like that, if you want to clear up the water, this little kit works really well for it. It does a good job. And with 20mm, that's really wide on the SL2. That makes for an interesting street lens. It just kind of, I mean, if you've never shot 20mm on the street, you have to get kind of close, and it creates really cool perspectives. It's just really neat. All right, I'm gonna stick this back in the bag. And then in the bag is, like in the front pouch here, I have batteries and another USB-C cable. What these are for is to charge the batteries with. I do in-camera charging when I travel because it's built into the camera, and it works really well. And I don't have to take and unplug my battery charger and then find a place to pack it. That's my battery charger, and I have 2 of these in case I break one. So that's kind of the ideology. Some people don't like to do in-camera charging. I don't see it causing a problem. It works great for me, so I use it. But that's my go kit. That's the whole thing. I have a 20, a 50, and a 135. And I do have a 35 on the other camera. So I have the M adapter L, which is just an adapter made by Leica. And it tells the camera you have an M lens, so it leaves some functionality in place for the camera that normally is turned off when you don't have that device in place. Yeah, you have workarounds. You get the idea. But this gives me plenty of options, and 99% of what I'll be doing will probably be with the 50mm. And let's see, I'm gonna get back to Ron's question. What kind of trip we doing? We're going to be going down and doing some business primarily down in Florida, but I'm going to get like some opportunities to do a little bit of street photography and maybe some sunrises, maybe if we've got time, or sunsets, but most likely it'll just be mostly street. And that's why I've chose the lenses I've picked, because I don't think I'm going to really have time to do like any wildlife or anything like that, just because of the nature of the trip. So I've kind of packed thinking about what I'm going to shoot, which is kind of the way you should do it anyway. You shouldn't just like throw in everything in the kitchen sink and hope for the best, because that's just going to make you miserable. That crap's going to get heavy. That's your Albert. Hey, Albert, how you doing? Good evening. Scott Patterson's here. Good evening, Scott. Let's see. Scriptwick's back. David, my trip to Europe, I took one camera body, a Samyang 8mm f3.5. Wow, that's wide, dude. The 35 f2.4, the 51.8, and the Sigma 18-250. A Godox flash, a tripod, and a camera backpack. Yeah, now if I was going to Europe, let's see, yeah. When you're live streaming from your camera room, this would be what I would take. Oh, I knocked over my headphones. Yeah, there we go. We'll get them out of the floor. This is the, it's not Peak Design. It's Think Tank Photo. This is called the Retrospective 15. Yeah, and it's a backpack camera bag. It's got a lot of storage in it. This is the one I take when I go to Costa Rica and stuff. Got dirt all over from my backpack. Let's see here. But yeah, you can see. This is the one I can pack, the Z50, the 500 phase Fresnel, the CL, some lenses, and everything fits in one pack, and I can walk it with me right through security and on the plane and everything. I really enjoy using this backpack. It works really well. I saw it advertised. I wanted it because it's cloth. It's not nylon, so it's a little softer. And I wanted it because it opens from the back. This is big for me because all my other backpacks up to this point opened from the other side, which forced you to lay the side that sits against your body on the ground. And if it's rainy and muddy or you're in sand, it's just a problem. This way you lay all that dirt and trash on this side where it don't get to your stuff. And your backpack section that goes against your body stays clean. I really like that about this pack. That's a good loadout, dude. You carried a lot of stuff. You've got like non-redundant coverage of everything. I like that 35-2.4 idea. That's a fairly small lens. That'll fit. That'll be nice and compact. Won't take up much space. The 8mm, that's just cool. You're taking that for cool points. Because there's no... That's just cool. I can't employ fisheye lenses like that. There's a lot going on there. Now, when that does bring up a good point. When I travel, and I'm going to, like, if I was going to Europe, say, well, honestly, when I went to Israel, I didn't do this, but I've learned since then because I had an event transpire in front of me in Israel. And it taught me a valuable lesson by what happened to a friend of mine. We went on that trip, and it was the Holy Land tour kind of thing, where they put you in a tour bus, and they drive you from town to town, and they make a big loop through the country of Israel, and they make a bunch of stops in a bunch of places, and you wind up sleeping in Caesarea, Philippi, and, you know, the town of Dan, and the Sea of Galilee, and the Dead Sea, and the Red Sea at Elot and Jerusalem. You go to all the places. It's one of them deals. It's a tourist thing. Well, my buddy brought a Canon. I think he had a 5D Mark IV and a really nice, like 24-70 lens on it. Really nice camera. The first day he dropped it and broke the mount off of the camera and damaged the lens at the same time. When it landed on the lens, and it bounced the camera on the ground and basically killed them both. His main camera was out of action. He shot the rest of the trip on a little Sony like RX5. I think it was RX5. It's one of them little ones like Ted Forbes loves to film his videos with. But it was a really nice little Sony point and shoot, and he loved the pictures it produced. He actually thought about it at the end and thought that it was kind of a blessing in disguise that his main camera got busted because he didn't have to carry that heavy thing around the rest of the trip. And he had it insured, so when he got home, they replaced it. But yeah, he loved that little Sony point and shoot. He said it took wonderful photos too. Ken Bear's in. How you doing, Ken? He says he would bring the SL2 and the 24-90. It's sitting up there. I thought about it. I actually thought about the 24-90 plus the Q2 monochrome. If I brought the Q2 monochrome, I probably wouldn't bring the SL2 because I would probably just be using it. Battery charger and polarizing lenses. Yeah, usually one in the bag and one hand carry. That's a good idea. Claire's here. Good day, Claire. Thank you for stepping in. And the hat. Well, look at who showed up. How you doing this evening? That's cool. I ain't seen you in a stream in a while. Then again, I haven't streamed in a while. Let's see. I have a glass of water. I really considered that 24-90, but it's so heavy. Now, I'm trying to travel kind of light. You know, and even if I put it in the bag, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get it out. That's why I brought the 20. The 24 on that 24 to 90, I would probably shoot between 24 and 50 anyway. And most likely, I like the field of view of the 24 millimeter on that lens. And with the 20, it's a little wider still, so I get a little bit more character, I guess is the right word, with that wide angle character. But I can also just switch it. I mean, it don't weigh near, it's like fractional compared to that 24 to 90. That thing's a pro lens. It's a big monster. That's the only reason I ain't picked it, though, just to tell you the truth. I did. I considered putting it in there, but it's just so big. If I'm doing events, I like having it. Triple Crown was a great event for the 24 to 90. It's real handy there. But for street, I like smaller lenses. But that's a good loadout. I mean, you got 3 devices, one interchangeable body, one interchangeable lens, and then a backup camera. Clean. Well thought out. How wonderfully timed. I sat at my desk, removed the old light seals from my Canon FTB. Oh, you're resealing it. Nice. David, the Lumix 24 to 60 is excellent and very underrated walk-around lens. That is a good sounding focal range. And it's native L mount because it's a Lumix. It's Panasonic lens, ain't it? Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. 20 to 60 millimeter Lumix. Because what we'll just do is leap into Adorama mode. B&H mode. Dang, it's only $4.97 with Black Friday. That's cool. Look at this. You can get an S5 right now. $500 off. That's crazy. And it comes with the 20 to 60, which is a $500 lens. So you're getting the S5 for $1,200. That's smoking. Yeah. And they throw in a memory card. Like, why not? And a little tiny camera bag. It looks like this kit is the same price as this kit. And you get a camera bag and a memory card. And they're the same price. So why would you pick this one? That's just weird. But yeah, that's an awesome little lens. Stepping motor. Yeah, I don't care about that. It's got fluorine coated lenses. 9-bladed aperture. That means it'll produce light stars most likely. It's got rounded blades though, so it won't be big ones. Weather sealed. That's nice. Yeah. And it does my 20 and my 50 millimeter like you said. And I normally stop down anyway because I want a little bit of context in the photos. I'm not out there to shoot super dreamy portraiture. So that's a pretty cool idea. Thank you. Interesting. Now that we know that, we'll be looking at that a little harder here in a few minutes. I have access to that. Let's see what we got. If it's so you can use it on your SL2 and your CL. That 24 to 90 produces excellent files. Yes, it does. The hat says, the last stream I joined crashed. If I recall correctly, I'd mentioned shooting film at my sister-in-law's wedding. The stream cut out as you said you shot film at a wet. Honestly, I was amused. We're done. The shock of film at a wedding killed technology. That's funny. Let's see. But yeah. So how'd it go? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. But yeah, that's what I travel with when I'm just doing a weekend getaway, because I've figured out that I'm not, unless I'm going to do a very specific kind of photography, then I don't carry those very specific lenses and cameras. like the wildlife rig. I'm not taking it because I'm not going down there looking for wildlife. If I was going looking for wildlife, then I would be taking the 500 phase Fresnel, the Z50, which is filming, and that would be the rig of choice. But yeah, I'm going down to do street and just like friends and family photos and things of getting togethers and things like that. So since it's going to be that kind of photography, I'm just going to carry gear situated for it. But yeah, it's cool to see what some people want to bring because it's interesting. The next thing, now that we're going to segue around a little bit, we'll pull up David Geold website. Whoops, there we go. There I am. Now, what I got here is a blog post I wrote on my website. And I figured it was worth discussing a little bit too, because not everybody goes and reads my blog. And this is something that a lot of people put off. And I've seen people like the Angry Photographer talk about true data backup, but I haven't really seen anyone address the actual curation of your footage or your photos. And that's something that I have struggled with for several years now. Yeah, years. Is that I've still just got these hard drives, like you see this stack of hard drives in this picture I did. That's just some of it. It's incredible what I have amassed. And you can see I just name them volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, because I was starting to stack them up and I didn't name them to start with. So I plugged them all in and basically just looked at the dates that the folders were created until I found the oldest one, marked it as volume 1. Then found the next logical progression from that one, volume 2, and I just went through and named them all so I knew what they were. But it's crazy how many terabytes of photos I have amassed, and there is no real organization to it. And what got me to thinking about this was when I was, let's see if I even say it in here. I was watching one of those videos by the guy in England that does he talks to the camera, the photographic eye. I was watching one of his videos and he was talking about it. And then after that, Carmine Taverna did a video about what's going to happen to your photos after you're gone. And and it makes you think about it. It's like, well, they'll probably just get thrown away. No one's going to want to wade through all these hard drives of images to just see if there's any keepers. That's what I was starting to think. It's like, man, you need to do something with these photos or you're just going to lose them, And did you collect those photos as an exercise or a hobby to, just have pleasure, or did you capture them as a historical record that you want somebody in the future to be able to find and use? Well, if you want them to be a historical record, I'm going to back this off just a little bit, then you got to make sure that they are findable. But if you're just shooting them and you just like saving them just because you like to save them, then you don't have to do anything. But it just seems to me that if you're going to go to that much trouble, that you would need them, or you'd want them organized in a way that makes sense. That's why I've been thinking about this, and I wrote the blog post, was because it just made sense to me to just come up with a way to curate your photos, I guess is the right language, because they need to be. If you went to the trouble of collecting these images and then editing these images and then saving them, somebody else needs to be able to find them at some point in the future once you're gone. Just makes sense. Don't do all of that work creating these beautiful photographs to just throw them away. I mean, it would just be sad. The hat's roped back in. We'll jump back onto that for a minute. Let's see here. The hat says, it went amazingly well. I shot a roll of HP5, one of FP4, a roll of Delta 3200 at 1600. He pulled it to 1600. A roll of Gold 200 is in there for a bit of change, so you got a little bit of color film in it. Got some fantastic shots. Nice. That was using an X700 with an MD 35 to 70 f3.5 and the 50 millimeter rocker f1.7, which I have one of right over there. Amazing lenses. Let's see. Really nice camera. I put a roll or two through my old Nikkor Mat EL as well. Worked out nicely. Nice. Albert says, when I need to travel, I take my Fujifilm X-T2 camera with me, along with the 16mm and the 24mm lenses, all of which are extremely lightweight. That's an excellent kit. When I went to Israel, that's what I was telling you, I learned from my friend who dropped his camera on the first day. But all I took was my X-T3, the kit lens, a 200mm f4 Nikkor with an adapter, and one other one. I think it was a 55mm or a 58mm prime vintage lens. And all I used was the kit lens the whole trip. It just worked out. I just used it the whole time. And it took stellar photos. I made my photo book with it and it looks great. Yeah, that's a good kit. 16 works out to what, about 24 effective, something like that. And then 24 works out to about 40-ish. So yeah, those are good focal lengths. Send those hard drives to me. I will go through them and edit the good ones and create a cool project out of them. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll send them to you later. There's also a ton of YouTube video footage on there where I've done my channel videos on them too. And of that stack, 2 are currently plugged into the computer. Oh, I kind of just now got started on one of them, though. Let's see. Let's get up here and pull up. Let's see. That's 5. No, 5's a new one. Okay, let's see. 4 is full. All right. And 5 is... I have already done 350 gigabytes of files on 5. I'm going to jump back over here. All right, let's just do this. What you'll see on my files a lot, since I did a YouTube channel here so long, is I would collect footage and save it in a month. The letters at the beginning are only there to push the file folders to the top. Because as you can see, there's a lot of other stuff in here, and I just didn't want to scroll down when I'd open the folders. So that's why you see the 2022 ones are AD and the 2021 ones are AE. That way the 22 files, which were the ones I was using at the time, they would be at the top. And it wouldn't move my photo project folders out of the way. You know, that way it wasn't, because if I sort it by date, it pushes a bunch of these down, and I wanted them to stay at the top. So if I found one I liked, I could just drop it in that folder. But yeah, then you go in here. Oh, that's not a good one. Then inside the month of June is all the subfolders about all the stuff I did in June. You know, and this particular, oh, wrong way. This particular hard drive is currently sitting at 3.8 terabytes of used space. I have 165 gigabytes left of open space. I always leave a little breathing room at the end. I don't fill them completely full. But yeah, you can kind of see vlog, you know, AF, vlog 2020, August, and there's all the file folders for the vlogs I made in 2020 and stuff. But yeah, you get the idea. And it's just like crazy how it just fills up. There's just so much going on. And each one of them folders, you know, this is what the files look like inside of it. Let me just go back here and just show you. Let me just open June. This one. This one won't be a good one, but it'll give you an idea. There's all the pictures I took that day. All right. If I bail out of 4, and let's just jump into 5. 5 will have dumb crap in it, like memory card dump. See? And it's just literally hundreds of images snatched out of the memory card because I wanted to clear it so I could go do something else. And then I just throw them in here, and then later I'll sit down and I'll actually sort these into folders. I'm good about doing that. It won't sit here more than another week or 2 before I get that done. But, you know, you go in, see, and then the calls. I don't throw away my calls. They're still there. I don't delete them. Maybe I should. You ever like pictures of popcorn? Oh, that's meat skins. No, my bad. Not popcorn. But, you know, you get the idea. But you got to go through it at some point. Oh, there's some information going on here. Ron Durant sent those hard drives. The hat talking to Albert. The hat's getting out of a Nikon D7100 and into an XT2. John Travina, same here, bass angler. I was born in 71, so I can't be old. I got y'all beat. I'm a late 60s model. That's interesting. Let's see. Dang, I done good. All right. What else? Oh, I had something else I was going to do with the interwebs. Let's see here. Let's call that. Let's go back to here. Oh, I done left it now. Let's pull it back up. I like that, though. Thank you for that lens idea. Back over to this, we have the Black Friday deals. And, let's see. Excuse me. At the outset, it did have 8 items. They've took one out. Apparently, they sold out of one of them. Yeah, it was a can light, or is that at Adorama? No, this one was the one that had the can light, the flashpoint. These guys have the Lumix for $14.97. This is the S5, but it doesn't have the lens. It's got all these other widgets instead. It's got a spare battery. That's kind of nice. Memory card, a camera bag, of course, a little thing to clean your lens with, a Gorilla Pod knockoff. It's not a real Gorilla Pod. I think it's a better deal to get the lens. There's all sorts of little interesting things that are on sale. It's really neat. They've got a light right here. What's them bars? Panel and tube. LED lights. Oh, you get all sorts of different lights in this kit. Interesting. Oh, depends on which one you pick. Okay. Ends in 28 hours. You got a little bit of time. You got another day or so. Scott Patterson says, I am old, born in 1963. Yeah, you got me by a few years. I'm a 69 model. John Taverna says, reckon you could use those still calls in a short film or something, do some voiceover and some audio to help tell a story. That's an interesting idea. I have thought about doing like a almost had it photo, you know, maybe do a short film like, well, this was when I almost got the shot at this notable event. And this was when I almost got the shot at this one. This was when I was a half second late getting this photo, you know, that kind of a thing. Because I got a bunch of calls. I take lots of photos. And I never, like I said, I never delete the calls. I always save them. They're all there. Maybe I will send them to Ron and see what he can come up with. Because sometimes it takes a fresh eye to see a photo that when I took it, to me, it looked good when I was taking the picture, but when I got home and looked at it on the computer, it didn't. You know, it didn't seem to translate. But then again, I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses, so there's that. But yeah, that's a good point. In that maybe somebody else should curate these hard drives, but good Lord, they are gonna suffer. There's a lot of pictures. I don't know how many, but it's tens of thousands of photos over. I think these hard drives start about 7 years ago is when I started these red hard drives. Matter of fact, I know it is because that first one I started it when I started the channel in 2017. So, yeah, there's 6 years. Ron says, send me one to start. Whew. I don't know if you're ready for that. I think we're on a chat messaging board somewhere. Shoot me a message, Ron. At least on Facebook. I'm pretty sure we're on one there together. We'll look at that and see what you think. Let's see. I am a summer of 69 model as well. Me too. July, actually. Oh, there's no debate. A Japanese-built compact solid camera with proper controls and a sensor that has stunned me from the first time I saw it. I am getting on that certain. I didn't have a 2. I had the 3. The XT2 seems to be like the quintessential Fujifilm XT series camera. For some reason, it's become like the one everybody really wants. And I noticed that they came out with the XT4, which had the weird flippy screen that rotates and slips out to the side. And apparently all the XT shooters hated it because the XT5 has the same screen as the XT3. And I thought that's an interesting twist. Kim Bear says, I am a 1948 baby. Whoa. Always cull with a vengeance. Take 50 shots of the same subject just makes too much. Cull with a vengeance. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I cull a lot. Like the keepers out of them. Well, let me see. Let me pull that back up for a second. Let me go back up one layer. In all reality, that's family photos, so it don't count because I'll keep pictures that don't look really great in the family photos. Yeah, this one will do. All right. No, it won't because there ain't many photos. Interesting. Of course, when I want a reference picture, I can't find one. I just copied that folder. Man, I feel like an idiot sometimes. Yeah. I've gotten really picky when I snap the shutter now. So it's like a 50-50 keeper rate. The hat says, Hassan says, what is a Fulia film? Lumix is where it's at. Apparently, you can get a Lumix for smoking money right now. I'm telling y'all, if you're wanting one, that Lumix S5 is a nice machine. And it's cheap, well, comparatively. And you get that 20 to 60 millimeter lens to boot. The hat says, I'd probably get an XT3 if I could afford it, but the XT2 has a high enough resolution sensor. XT3s on eBay aren't super bad. Let's see. Fleabay is this button. Let's just jump back over to the interwebs. What's this about? I don't want that. Oh, let's just see what happens when I do this. Oops, not a match. Well, let's just do it this way. What? Well, just take me to the page. There. All right. I'm logged in on the other browser. Let's see here. Fujifilm XT-3. Yeah, they're about $700-800, depending on what condition it's in. Here's a body only with what appears to be an L bracket for 6. Here's one with a lens for 9. That's probably almost new one. If I had to guess, it's practically brand new. Okay, let's look and see how much XT2 costs. I'm curious to see the price differential. Oh, I see your point. Yeah. And the XT2, I think it's isn't it 20 megapixel? No, it's 24. So I don't see nothing wrong with that. 24 is plenty. My CL's 24. This Z50 is only like 20.7 or something like that. Yeah, that's plenty of megapixels. And the XT3 didn't have image stabilization, so as far as that goes, you're really not gaining anything there either. Yeah, dude, that's good differential. I mean, that's adding a lens to the daggum cart differences of money. Wow, I didn't realize it was that much cheaper. I don't see why though. Like I said, the XT3 is only like 26 megapixels. That's not a big enough step to warrant $400. Score. All right. Makes perfect sense now. I get it. Wow. Let's see who else. Donald Johns from California's in. How you doing tonight, Donald? Thank you for stepping in. The hat has a Fujifilm SLR. It's been a wonderful workhorse. Those are nice machines. Limited a bit. 600 pounds British is not. Shoot, that's this is US dollars. That would be pretty close. Let's see. I don't have the button that shows. Sterling to US dollars is 725 US dollars. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad then. Yeah, you'll come out in the green. You'll have extra dollars left. Photo trip. Adorama is offering the S5 with the 50-1.8 and the 20-60 for $2,100. Man, I can get XT body, XT2 body, a few batteries, a second-hand XC lens for now, and a Nikon converter for that. When I sell the X700 and the FTB, I'll get the 35 f2 weather resistant. That's the lens to get. The 35 and the 23. I'd look at that. Is it a 23 or a 22 or 24? I think it's 23 mil. That 23 mil gives you that 35 millimeter field of view, like the 35 gives you the 50 field of view. I like the 35 on the CL because I'm a 50 millimeter guy. I mean, that's what I'm taking. It's just my preferred focal length. So that 35 would be the one I would pick. But a lot of guys like it a little wider. They like that 35 millimeter kind of field of view. So you get to 23 and gain that magic. We are striking. Can you hear it? Trey's installed a 1 1/4 meter repeater about 3 miles south of here on the brow of the mountain, and I helped him put the antenna on it, and we've got it working. He finally got the power amplifier fixed, and now it's actually working like it should, and he has it at the top of the hour to voice ID and tell you the time, so you can use it like a clock. Once an hour it tells you what time it is. It's kind of neat, and I think it synchronizes with the internet, or he synchronized it with the internet. I don't remember. One of the two. Just catch up on some reading here. Last Black Friday. Say that real fast 3 times. Nikon drove me nuts. This year, Fujifilm has me needing a straitjacket. LOL. Oh, is that so? Let's see what Fujifilm has on Black Friday at B&H. Let's just poke in the word Fujifilm and just start. Let's look at X system cameras. Why not? X system mirrorless cameras. Not really seeing any deals on Fujifilm. No, they're all full price. Well, here's a holiday savings on the XT4. It's $15.49. How do I sort it by deals? They've got it marked as, well, let me just show you. Top Wish Fujifilm X-T5 mirrorless camera with the 16 to 80 lens. 16 to 80? Nice. Good Lord, is it high. $2,200. I didn't realize it was a 40 megapixel sensor too. Wow. 7-stop IBIS. Good Lord, guys. 7 stops of IBIS? That's crazy. Okay, here's what you start running into with IBIS that's this good. Because my SL2 has IBIS almost this good. You can turn the shutter speed down that low, and the image, and inanimate objects in the frame will be sharp. But what you end up having is, let me just pull this up and I'll show you. We'll just go to the Horsepins 40. You start getting things like, where's it at? This. Yeah. The food truck is sharp. It's fine. Look, it's sharp. But look at the people. They don't stand still. This image is, let's see here, do I have the information here? Where's the, oh, I don't want to do any edits. Let's just do it here. Properties. Details. Shutter speed. 1/4 second. That's a 1/4 second exposure. Handheld in low light. And you can see I had the ISO at 800 with that 50 mil on it. I was shooting 50 millimeter. And I had the aperture set at f5 so I could have a little depth of field. That was the idea right there. But yeah, let me just open it back up. Look at this. Look, the motion blur. I mean, it's just crazy. The problem you run into with 7 stops of IBIS. It allows you to hand hold it at a 1/4 second and get tack sharp photos. Unfortunately, the people move. Bass Angler says 2 meter simplex is crazy here tonight. Huh. I haven't dialed up. Are you on 146 520? Because I'd have to, let's see here. BFO. I ain't hearing anything. Let's see here. I'm in the wrong mode. Let's see. How do I get to sideband? Here we go. Upper sideband. Well, that was loud, like immediately. Yeah, I don't hear squat. I hear static. Then again, I'm not in a city. I'm going to go back to memory. Where's my memory? There. Now we're back on the 2 meter repeater, or the 1 1/4 repeater. All right. Let's see. Well, I missed a bunch of stuff. Hat says 50 millimeter field of view is the reason I'd go 35 on the crop. It's my main lens on my D7100. I've got the Nikkor 24 millimeter AIS to use on it as well, which is going to be fun as I reach through all this stuff. Is that the one you have? Let me turn it where the light will hit it. This is I've used this lens for my live streams back in the day when I was filming them in my shop office, because I had the D810 set up and I put this lens on it, and I actually had a piece of paper taped to the ring, and I had it to where I had marks put on it for focus on me, focus on close-up. So I could just dial it to those two marks and it would automatically be in focus. That's how I use that manual focus lens on that D810 to stream with. This one has the 10 to 20 on it, and I've got autofocus, so it's supposed to be tracking me. Hopefully I'm being in focus. I'm pretty sure I am. I'm currently at 20 millimeters. I've got it racked all the way out. Normally I run it a little wider than that. I normally run 14. I didn't realize I had it run in so far. Interesting. Ron says you should do a live video about ham. All right. I am not scared to do that. I'm a big Morse code op, and I love CW. So I'm not very fast at it, but I love using it to the point I make my own Morse code keys. Like this one. I made this one probably 20 years ago. Just a little primer. We'll get back to cameras in a second. But it's two little electrical switches, and they're high precision. I really need to clean the dust out of it. Good Lord, it's filthy. Blow the dirt out of it. I'm glad I got it out and looked at it. Is that a wire? Oh, it's the ground lead. I see it now. Okay. But yeah, handmade Morse code keys from back in the day. I'm real big into that. I made all kinds of stuff like that. Back to subject. I'll come back to that though. 146, 520, you can't get a word in with a sledgehammer. I need to hit my buddy up and do I hit them with 80 watts? 2 meters is quiet. Here's what Scott said. Yeah, 2 meters is dead silent here. Well, you heard it. I'd spoled it up and there wasn't nobody on it. It's interesting that Bass Angler has traffic, and neither one of us do. The deals are on the medium format system. Oh, the GFX. Yeah. Let's look and see. No. The GFX system and cameras. Oh, yeah. $500 off the GFX 100S. $5,500 for a 100 megapixel camera. 102 megapixel camera. Wow. That's insanity. $800 off the GFX 50S and the 35 to 70 lens. Now, its field of view on 35 to 70 is probably more like 24 to 60 or 20 to 60, somewhere in there, because medium format sees different. Interesting. $800 off. Yeah, I can see why you would be interested in that. All right, I'll see you later, Donald. Have a good time eating supper. I've been eating soda crackers. I love them. All sorts of stuff right here at my disposal. It's kind of nice streaming from my desk. The other night I got out this 2 meter HT. See? It just hangs right here on a cabinet. Scott Patterson says, well, I am in the Kawartha Lakes in Ontario, Canada. Can you dial up 20 meters, maybe 14062? I'll hit you. I have 100 watts. I actually have 500 if I dial up the Omni 6 Plus. I guarantee you'll hear them dits and dogs with that. Unless there's just some kind of solar flare. That's there. The hat says, yeah, I think it is the f2.8 with the longer focus throw. So almost a half turn from close to infinity. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you're right on the money. And it is the f2.8 variant. Yeah. This is a wonderful lens. It's a great, and look how small it is. I mean, you take the cap off, you can see, pull off the lens cap. It's a little bitty thing. The lens cap is the same, so it's 52 millimeters long, so that's it's right at 2 inches long. It's a tiny little thing. Mine's dirty. It needs cleaning. It's super bad. Oh, that's probably adhesive from the tape. Where I had that tape on, it looks like it. Yeah. But yeah, that's a great lens. You'll do well with it. Very cool, Key. Thank you. I have a couple I've made. That was the prototype. The very first one I made, has magnetic bearings or magnetic springs and little precision ball bearings in it and stuff. It's a high precision key, but I'm not a high precision op. I was making them for other people, and I just made and kept me a couple. New channel, ham and cameras. Cameras with a side of ham. I kind of like that. That has a ring to it. Not licensed to do HF. Oh, you're Canadian. I don't know the Canadian licensing structure. Our technicians can get on HF, and they have little segments in 40, I think a little bit in 15 and 10. But I don't remember. I don't know the Canadian license structure. Love old lenses. Yeah, I got them like, you know, I keep reaching past the camera to come up with another one because this shelf is filled with these things. This is an old Yashica 28 mil, I think. Yeah, 28 f 2.8. And I've got all these SL2 adapters. This is a cool little lens. It's got some artifacts, but it produces cool results. It's just it has character. The lens has cool character. I got this one from Craig Morris, the guy that I linked up with down in he's from down in Somerville, Georgia. We linked up. We did a video photo walk together. Ow! Just hit my knee on the table. That hurt a lot. It'll be a second. Yeah, I was not prepared for that. Okay, maybe I'll be able to walk tomorrow. I'm getting my wits about me. Bass Angler looked it up for me. He said just 10 meter, and they can use phone on a small 10 meter portion. They have access to the phone portion on 10 meters, a small portion of it. That don't mean they can't use CW. I'm pretty sure like every license allows access to the mode Morse code. That's why I'm saying that. The reason I say Morse code, the reason I keep going back to that is you can hear it when you can't hear audio or voice. You can make it out. You can actually understand what's being said. And it's just cool. I'm one of them nerds that likes it, I guess. But I'm trying to segue back to cameras. We keep wandering down the amateur radio rabbit hole. But I've got a couple of these Yashica primes they're actually really interesting. Yeah, they're not the sharpest lens. Once you stop them down, you go from 2.8 to 4, they get a lot sharper. And then if you go to f5, 6, or f8, when you go to f8 on 28, you get some pretty good hyperfocal distance. Let's see here. If I set it, everything from basically about 6 feet to infinity, 5 feet, 6 feet to infinity is in focus. That's not bad. If you go to f11, I back this up, now 4 feet to infinity is in focus. So, you can basically set it like I've got it right now and shoot straight with it without ever touching the focus barrel. You're done. It's basically F11 and be there. That's kind of the nice thing about these things. It's super fast to operate. But now I've got another 28 back there that's a Pentax Asahi, and it's an F35. It's a lot smaller than this one. So if I'm shooting straight and I know I'm going to stop down, I'll get that one because it weighs less. It's just not as heavy. and I'm going to be stopping down anyway. And that lens is beautiful. But yeah, I've got a bunch of vintage lenses, and I've sold a bunch, and I still have a bunch of them. Because you can get into vintage glass fairly economically. You don't have to tie up all your money to shoot vintage lenses. You can get into them and get quite a few of them and only have a few $100s in them and have nice glass. So that whole deal about you can't shoot analog lenses on digital sensors is bogus. I use them constantly, and the photos speak for themselves. Matter of fact, let's just go back to the old example. Oh, here it is right here. This photo was shot, well, no, this one, I'm lying. This one is not one of my 20 millimeter photos. Unfortunately, this is the 50 Summicron. Look, you can see the scratches. You can read the food permit. Yeah, look. But this guy's food was good, by the way. But yeah, I can't use this one as a reference photo, unfortunately, because it is the 50 F2 Summicron L. It was made for this camera. But I have pictures. This one. This was shot with the 20 millimeter f2.8 Nikkor on the SL2. Looks sharp to me. Yeah, that's somebody's shoes. Everybody's sitting around the fire trying to stay warm. But, trying to get that mood. The picture of the mood that I liked the most was this one. That's pretty cool. I like that photo. Just standing there in deep thought. These are the photos I look for now. Where the light, I'm following the light. I've gotten past tack sharp. I've gotten past perfectly in focus. I've gotten past which eye is in focus. I've gotten past all that. I'm to follow the light. That's the part of the journey I've made it to. And I'm looking for the light to tell a cool story. And this cool story right here, this campfire light illuminating him, gives you a story. I mean, it makes you think. What's he thinking about? What's going on in his life to give him that look. It's like Charles was thinking about something serious. I mean, just look at him. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. But this is the kind of photography I've as you can see, I'm kind of gravitating towards. Well, of course, the food truck, when I was trying to get, what I was hoping was I was going to get the whole line moving up, but it wasn't moving like that, because I wanted all of these people to be blurry was my goal, to show the activity, but it didn't work. It just didn't work out, but it's still a pretty cool photo. But it does highlight how good IBIS is and the problem that IBIS brings to the table. You can shoot with such low shutter speeds that the movement of your subject becomes the problem. And basically, we have circled. Good Lord, how many times I got that open? What that kind of tells me is we have sort of pseudo circled back around to the beginning of photography, when the photographers had shutter speeds so long that they figured out that don't make people smile. Make them sit there without a smile, because then their face muscles can relax and they won't move during the exposure. That's why all of those early, daguerreotypes and stuff, they were all because they were trying to relax their face muscles, because when they smile, they hold their face in a position and you move. So they were trying to keep, movement in the frame down to a minimum so you don't have a blurry face. So we're kind of circling back to that. Isn't that interesting? But just through a different medium. It's a different problem. The camera has gotten so good that we can slow the shutter down so much that now the subject movement is a problem again. I think that's kind of ironic. The hat says, let me reach around the camera. Hey, y'all. This is the one I was talking about. Like I said, the shelf behind the camera is filled with vintage lenses. And they all have L-mount adapters on them. But this is an M42 lens. And if I take off the lens hood, that's the whole lens. There is nothing there. Look at the rear element. Give you my fingernail for size reference. That's why I like carrying this one if I'm walking around and I want to shoot 28. Because this thing is tiny. And the square lens hood's kind of cool. It's got this little friction lock deal square lens hood. But yeah, I love my Asahi optics. But yeah, that lens takes stellar photos. I've shot a lot with it in Chattanooga. A lot. And I even have the little case that this stores in. Someone pointed it out to me because I was going through all the stuff I got that time. It was a box of freebie goodies that a friend gave me. And the hood has a little leather pouch you store it in. And I have it down there. It's got the lens pouch and the lens hood pouch. But I don't have the caps for the lens. That's why I normally store it facing down. Because I don't have a lens cap. I haven't bought one for it yet. It's just a standard lens cap. Does this one fit? No, it's too little. That one fit? The Nikkor one fits it. But yeah. Trash bag fashion lover. Thank you for stopping into the live stream. Appreciate that. That's awesome. If y'all haven't done it yet, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. Let's see. The glass in those old Asahi lenses is sublime. I have the M42 55 f1.8. It's right over there. At least one, maybe two of them. And it's tack sharp and such lovely bokeh. Built like a tank. Yes, they are built super well. Well, they're all machined brass. I'm pretty sure it's brass. Might be aluminum, but I'm almost certain it's brass. Those fireside pictures are really nice. Thank you, John. Agree. The old Pentax lens is really underrated. Not sure Leica has anything on the best of them. It's a close race. Leica's got good glass, but I mean, this glass has character. It just does. Minimum shutter speed is 1/2500th, isn't it? LOL. Minimum shutter speed on my SL2 is 1/40,000th of a second. We looked it up one day. That's lunacy. 1/40,000th of a second. Blows my mind. Of course, you need a ton of light to use 1/40,000th of a second. You can shoot at f0.95 in the sun at 1/40,000th of a second. You can use those long exposures to great effect, though. Do some Hal Morey style long exposures. I've been studying long exposure photos by different people, and yeah, there's several different ways to employ long exposures. And I've only been doing, I think there's about 6 common ways of using the camera with long exposure, and I've only been using maybe 3 or 4 at the most. Most of the time, like panning blur is 1, deliberate motion blur is 2. Let's see. And then like deliberate camera movement is 3. And that's like the only 3 I've been really ever employing. There's a guy who was doing photos, long exposures, but now he's doing like 10-minute exposures. And what he's doing is he's stripping the cityscape of all life. In 10 minutes time, nothing is going to sit still for 10 minutes. So they would take such a long exposure, 10 or 20 minutes, that it looked like the city was abandoned. And then they would take like one little spot, like the flags, wouldn't be blurry. So they were apparently multiple exposures. So they would get like one person in the frame would be sharp, and like the stuff that would be moving that was, not alive, like flags or like just trash or whatever, they'd freeze all that, but they'd get rid of all the people, all the cars, and it just looked vacant, and it was really cool photos. That was one of the modes of long exposure that I hadn't been employing yet, was trying to let people out. Well, I've done some partial exposures to create ghosts. That's another one I've done some. To make it look like you have a ghost in the frame. You do a long enough exposure, they're partially exposed. I've done that a couple times. It's a lot of fun. It's especially fun if you've got a model that's like into it as much as you are. For me, it was my daughter Sierra, and she was loving the pictures we were getting because it looked like we were making ghosts, Albert says, I couldn't fathom it. Says, I never imagined 20 years ago that I'd be able to buy a medium format camera for the same price as a 35 millimeter camera. Yeah, really. It's crazy. The new Leica M6 is $5,500. Just like this. Oh no, this GFX is even cheaper. Yeah, it's $3,700 right now with a lens, medium format sensor, and yeah, there's Nikon Z mount bodies that will put you into that ballpark. Yeah, the Z7 II I think is up in that area. That's true. That's incredible. You're right. The hat says, if I remember correctly, they are brass for one helicoid, aluminum for the other. I've had one apart once, but they go wrong so rarely that I've not needed to rebuild any of the ones I've owned. Yeah, all of mine have worked flawlessly, and all of the optics have never had fungus or haze in any of them. They just work. Yeah, I don't know. This thing works like a champ. I've got several of them. Let's see. Make sure I ain't missing anything here. No, I think I'm actually caught up on the chat. Where are we at? Oh, we're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. Wow. All right, I'm going to take the queue. I'm going to take questions for a few minutes. But I'm also going to take the queue from... 2 minutes is quiet. There, Donald. Who was it said to do it? Was it Scott Patterson said to do it? No, it was Ron. Ron said to do it. You should do a live stream about ham. What I'll do is, if I do that, is I'll set up a second camera and I'll have it on my ham shack so I can show it as the other part. And I'll go through how I use my base rig equipment. But yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you for that. Yeah. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I don't know which one's the winter and which one's the summer. Gets super dark early time. That's what it'll call. But yeah, until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer. Because I don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, y'all, and go in here and talk to Teresa for a little bit. Then I just wanted to talk about, I'm going to recap right quick. I wanted to talk about the Black Friday deals I was seeing, and they're extensive and lengthy. B&H and Adorama had a lot of them. They are not sponsors of this video in any way, shape, or form. I just wanted to see what they had to offer. I haven't looked at Roberts or any of the other places. I was just curious. I didn't look on Amazon on purpose because Amazon is the devil, and I'm trying to support businesses that are not Amazon. But you get the idea. And then what I wanted to also talk for a few minutes about what was in my travel bag when I was just going to be doing general photography and I wasn't going to do a specific thing. And, you know, and it's neat to hear what other people have in their bag. So, yeah. Albert asked me the question, did you buy anything? No, I did not. I'm still trying to pare down my stuff. Like I said, I've done pulled how many lenses off the back shelf, and there's still a bunch I didn't get out. There's a 100 millimeter macro lens, and there's a 105 macro lens, and a 105 f2 DC, and a 35 f2.8 vintage Leica lens, and there's a I think that's a 50 millimeter, I don't know, F something. Russian little pancake lens. There's just so many lenses. They're just everywhere. No, I didn't buy anything. Yeah, you guys have a good weekend. Don't eat too much. Who am I kidding? Eat too much. Just go get it. Go get some pecan pie right now. But until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer. And get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. You're pretty well equipped. There's some truth.